So Apple just finished up their September event for today and they launched two main products, the Apple Watch and the iPhone. Now, starting off with the Apple Watch, they didn't really launch too much. They launched two new models, the Series 9 and the Ultra 2, and they both have pretty small upgrades. Number one would be the chip upgrades, which now the processor is the S9 chip, and the S9 has mainly more graphics and processing power, and it's pretty significant improvement over the older chip, but at the same time, it is an Apple Watch. There's not really much to it. You're not editing photos or videos, mainly for the longevity of the watch, and this does boost it, but at the same time, there's nothing too big to it. Now the second upgrade will be the screens. The Series 9 is now brighter at 2000 nits, and the Ultra 2 is brighter at 3000 nits. Once again, nothing too big, but at the same time, much appreciated. And number three will be this new gesture, which is like basically kind of double tap with your fingers and it'll answer calls or answer messages or a lot of actions that you want. I think once again, not anything too big, but it's great if your hands are full. I don't know how they do it. It's probably some Harry Potter magic.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
A wizard.
And that's pretty much it for all the Apple Watch models. There's nothing too big this year. Small changes, much appreciated, but once again, nothing worth upgrading over. Now, the main showstoppers of this Apple event were the iPhone 15 and the 15 Pro, and both of these phones actually got really big upgrades this year. I would say the biggest upgrades in many years. And hopefully this means I don't have to see this meme on my Twitter feed constantly for the next 1 week. So hopefully these are great upgrades and people do like them. So let's talk about them. So the first big upgrade was USB-C, and I think for me, this is going to be one of the biggest upgrades to the iPhone in probably like forever. Now currently almost all electronic consumer devices across the world are USB-C charging. Whether it be the camera I'm shooting on, the Android phones across the world, or even laptops, tablets, even Apple's own MacBooks and iPads, they all use USB-C charging. Now there's only mainly two devices across the world that don't really use USB-C. One of them is the iPhone, and the other are the AirPods. Now in today's Apple event, both of these got USB-C, and it wasn't really something that Apple was willing to do. They were forced to do this by the European Union and a new regulation passed by them. But I think this is going to be great since now, personally, I can use USB-C on all my items, and I only have to carry one charger on all of my trips or even when I go to school. So I can charge my AirPods, iPhone, MacBook, iPad, camera, anything, all with one cable. Moreover, if I forgot my cable, I could borrow a cable from anybody because now everybody's gonna have USB-C instead of iPhone people only having Lightning and Android people having USB-C. Now everybody has the same cable, so I think this is going to be a great and very big upgrade. Now speaking of the USB-C chargers, it seems like we also got new chargers in the box this year. Now if you look closely at the website, it does seem like there is a braided charger included in the box now instead of the regular plastic one. This is great because braided chargers are more durable instead of the plastic ones which would easily break, and I think this is going to be cool to have. Now we did see some rumors of color matching braided cables, and I don't really know if this is true or not, and it's not confirmed, but it does seem like we are at least getting braided cables in the box, which is already a huge win for consumers. Now something that's coming down to the base models this year that was only on the more expensive Pro models last year was the Dynamic Island. And the Dynamic Island is really cool. It does like play a lot of cool animations, really smooth animations, and it allows you to multitask on your iPhone. Well, somewhat, but it is pretty cool all in all, and I think a lot of people are going to buy the base iPhone just for Dynamic Island, since it is a really nice feature and people do buy iPhones because, well, they're fun, they have a nice software experience, and I think this is going to be a great selling point. Now speaking of more expensive Pro features coming down to the cheaper base model, let's talk about the camera. Now this year on the camera, we get a new 48 megapixel camera that was only on the Pro phone last year, and this year we get it on the base model, which is great because it does open a lot of opportunities with your camera for a cheaper price, such as using the 2x zoom instead of just being stuck to the 0.5 and 1. Since we have a 48 megapixel camera, now we can crop into it, and now we can get a 2x zoom on the main camera without having to lose any quality at all, which is great because now we get this on a cheaper phone, and normally telephoto lenses are only reserved for the more expensive Pro phones. Now another really cool feature that's coming to the camera this year is a new portrait mode. So instead of having to switch to portrait mode all the time, now we could just take a picture with the regular camera mode and turn it to portrait mode later. And they actually do this not by just turning on some random filter, but when you take a picture, it does automatically carry all the data for subject information, and it does measure the distance and all that other Harry Potter magic.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
A wizard.
And when you go into the Photos app, you can change the picture to be your portrait mode picture, and it will actually look like you took it into portrait mode, not like you put on some random Photoshop or Snapchat filter on it. And this is great because now you don't have to take the extra few seconds to switch to portrait mode every time you want to take a picture with that nice background blur. Instead, you could just take a picture with a normal camera and bam, now you get the same results. So the dynamic island and the 48 megapixel camera are great features that came from the Pro phones to the cheaper base phones, but they're not the only Pro features coming down to base phones. Now this may seem small, but I think it's a pretty cool aesthetic. And we are getting the more matte glass finish come down to the base phones, which makes them look more premium compared to the glossy look we had previously. And I think overall this is just going to be a great premium look. Now to accompany this matte finish, we also get new colors. So we have a very pastel look this year, and we got pink, yellow, green, blue, and black. And honestly, I'm not even a pink guy, but yo, that pink color is really nice. Now I think the pink and the blue are probably going to be the most popular. Probably the blue, because that's what people seem to be more attracted to, and I mean that's probably what I would buy too, but the pink is also really nice. Now lastly, another feature that we got is roadside assistance via satellite, and this is basically an add-on to what we got last year on the iPhone 14, which was emergency services via satellite. Now that feature helped a lot of people, and if you don't know what it is, basically now you can use Apple's satellites connected to iPhone 14 or 15, and they basically allow you to contact emergency services if you're lost or hurt and you have no service on your phone. And this is great because, well, it has helped a lot of people in the past, especially in these recent wildfires in places like Hawaii. We did see a lot of people get helped by this new satellite feature, and I can't wait to see what happens with the new roadside assistance feature, which is basically like if you're stuck on the side of the road, your car broke down and you need roadside assistance for your car, you can basically use the emergency services satellite thing to contact roadside assistance, not just emergency services. Now, all of these great features on this new iPhone come at the same price that we got before on both the 14 and the 14 Plus. So I think it's great to see all these big changes come and no price increase, which Apple's kind of notorious for doing in the past. But that's enough for the iPhone 15 base models. Let's talk about the iPhone 15 Pro and the Pro Max. Now, one big change that they talked about a lot this year was their new titanium finish. And I think this is going to be pretty cool because, well, a big problem that a lot of people didn't really like was that the iPhone 14, 13, and 12 did have the stainless steel edges, and well, they kind of look shiny on camera, but in real life, after like owning them for 20 minutes, even if it's in a case, they do get really dirty and they don't have that premium look anymore. So the new titanium edges are going to be pretty clean. And aside from that, they're lighter, they're durable, and they have more strength. So your iPhone's not going to break as easily, although they never really broke too easily. But yeah, I think the iPhone 15's new titanium finish is going to be a pretty premium touch, and I think a lot of people are going to like it. Now, another big change that they added this year was the action button. Now, the action button replaces this mute button that we previously had, so you could turn off or on your ringer. And I think the mute button is something that made the iPhone iconic since the start, but at the same time, the action button is a lot more practical, and I think we could probably expect to see this on the base models next year, like the dynamic island got carried over. But the action button is pretty cool. So it's basically a button you have on the side of your phone, and you press it and you can do a lot of customizable actions. So this could be opening an app, or maybe even turning on your flashlight, or you could just keep it the same as it was before and mute or unmute your ringer. There's a lot of stuff you could do, especially with Siri shortcuts. But all in all, I think the action button is a great idea. It's not something that's really prominent on a lot of phones, and I personally would use it on like opening the camera, but I'm curious what you guys would do with it, so make sure to comment below. And if you like the video so far, make sure to like and subscribe. But that's the action button, and now moving on to the processor. Most people won't really care about this, but this year we got the new A17 Pro, and this year is gonna actually be a really big change for the processor because now we have a 3nm chip, and this is gonna make it more efficient and overall just a smoother experience on your phone, which makes it great for animations and longevity and all of that. And also just more efficiency does mean that you get better battery life. So I think a lot of this is going to be great for consumers. Now we got USB-C on the base iPhones, and of course we're going to get them on the Pro iPhones too. However, it's going to be better on the Pro iPhones. We get better speeds, which are going to be 10 gigabits per second for transfer, which is significantly better than the base iPhones, since they use USB 2 speeds and we get USB 3 speeds here. Now this is slower than the rumored Thunderbolt that we were going to get. At the same time, man, like, it's an iPhone. Now this wouldn't really be an iPhone 15 Pro upgrade without seeing a lot of upgrades to the camera system, and we did get a lot of those this year. Now they really went off about their whole 48 megapixel camera system and how you could use basically 7 different focal points thanks to the cropping, and I think it's pretty impressive. But overall, nothing too big on the main iPhone 14 Pro, mainly just a larger sensor for the main sensor, and there is apparently a coding to fix the whole nighttime flares on your iPhone, which is, I think that's pretty great because it's something that I hate a lot personally, and I can't wait to see if it actually works or if it's just another gimmick. Now speaking of gimmicks, we actually got spatial video, which is, I don't know, I mean, it's going to be subjective, but I think this is still kind of like a gimmick, but it would be interesting to see how it actually works in real life instead of just calling a gimmick outright. But this is basically going to be like a mode that you can use your main sensor and the ultra wide sensor, and they combine together to basically make some sort of spatial video which you could use on your Apple Vision Pro. You can basically use your Apple Vision Pro and it'll feel like you were actually there in real life instead of just, well, the static video. Now I personally think this is going to be a gimmick, but I haven't really tried it yet, obviously, and it's not really coming on launch either. It's going to come pretty later down the road, so we'll have to try it before actually making any solid conclusions. But I think that's going to be something that we are going to be waiting for. Now a big feature that only came to the Pro Max was the new telephoto lens, and this jumped from 3 times to the 5 times lens. It's going to be a pretty cool upgrade for me, especially because, well, I live in Vancouver, BC. As I mentioned in my previous video, we see a lot of mountains, a lot of nice mountains. And a lot of these landscapes, you see them and you want to take a nice picture of them, but obviously they're mountains, they're far away, and you open your camera, you go to the 3 times zoom. You really want a tighter crop, but you don't want to lose quality, so the 5 times zoom is going to be nice. Now, do I wish we had a 10 times zoom like we saw in rumors and like Samsung has? Yeah, obviously, I wish we had a 10 times zoom, but I'll take what we can get right now, and hopefully one day we actually get a proper periscope lens with like all the crazy 120 times zoom that we have on the Samsungs. And I don't know, I think it's not really a gimmick like a lot of people say. I think it's pretty useful, and I'd really love to see that on an iPhone. Now finishing it all off, we got 4 new colors on the iPhone 15 Pro, and these are black titanium, white titanium, blue titanium, and natural titanium. Now natural titanium looks like, well, what we had on the gold previously, except, well, it is kind of a nicer, better look. I think that's probably what I would go for, either that or blue. But at the same time, I think, I don't know, man, like, none of these are really new colors. They look pretty much the exact same as what we got on, well, the iPhone 12. And I'm not impressed, man. Like, I really wish we got something more bronze or red or anything that's more vivid. Now lastly, let's talk pricing. We already talked about the 15 base. They are both at the same price. And the 15 Pro is also at the same price. Now the 15 Pro Max starts at $100 more because of probably the whole periscope lens and everything, but it also starts at 256 gigabytes, which was already $100 more. Now it was kind of weird to see Apple trying to justify this on stage, which is normally not like them, but I don't know, man. I mean, like, you are still paying $100 extra, like if you were to get 128 gigs, because that is enough for most people. I don't know, man. I mean, like, I'm really interested in what you guys think. Like, do you think this is going to be a ripoff, or do you think the extra $100 for 256 gigabytes is going to be worth it and Apple's just being genuine? I really want to know what you guys think, so make sure to comment that down below. But anyways, that's it for all the iPhone 15s and the Apple Watches, and overall I think they're pretty substantial upgrades, at least on the iPhones, and not really as much on the Apple Watches. I also think the AirPods with USB-C are going to be a great thing, and I personally am going to get them for sure. So I want to know what you guys are getting from this Apple event, or if you're just not sold on everything. Make sure to once again comment that down below, and make sure to like and subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you in the next video.